Good afternoon or good evening, everyone. Welcome along to wherever you are in the world and the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, which is getting underway at 5 p.m. GMT, 2 p.m. local time. Very shortly, we'll have Charlie Tolhurst joining us for what could be a defining race in the Formula One World Championship then. Max Verstappen will start second with Valtteri Bottas on pole after he won the F1 sprint yesterday. Lewis Hamilton starts 10th. He finished the sprint in 5th, but he has to take a 5-place grid penalty after he was disqualified from qualifying due to DRS infringement. And but we're just going to actually hear from Christian Horner quickly.
Something completely different. I mean, their car obviously failed the test. It's a very binary test. I think what he's referring to in Mexico was a repair that was permitted prior to qualifying. So it's you're comparing cheese and eggs.
Okay, so Sergio has got to get his elbows out, hasn't he, going forward and defending against Lewis?
Absolutely, he's got a big role to play because we know that Mercedes is going to be blisteringly quick in this Grand Prix. So for us to beat them is going to be incredibly tough. But we've got two cars in there, and we're going to give it everything we got.
All right, good luck. Thank you. Let's.
So it's a very concerning sound, Christian Horner there. Mercedes, they reckon, Christian Horner, Red Bull reckon there's something on that Mercedes that maybe shouldn't be on there. That's what I've been told. That's all I know. But as far as I'm concerned, that Mercedes wing that has been seized will be checked for all of that. And as to whether it is deemed legal or not, I guess there won't be any penalty for it. I guess Mercedes will just be forced to change their wing, which was obviously what Red Bull had to do when their wing was deemed illegal, so it has happened before. And who knows whether it will happen again with Mercedes. But Lando Norris put up a good fight. But what a fight from Lewis Hamilton in that sprint yesterday. It was a sprint victory, a super sprint victory. Not victory, but drive from Lewis Hamilton. And it was so good. Just the way he carved through the field. He overtook all the drivers. Obviously, he does get demoted to 10th position from that 5-place grid penalty for a new internal combustion engine, and he just had such a stellar drive going through the field, and he just seemed to overtake absolutely everyone other than Valtteri Bottas, Max Verstappen, Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez. But even late weren't that far up the road. There was a 18-second gap from second to third, sorry. But yeah, it was a stellar drive from the 7-time world champion yesterday. And I'm just going to try now and get up some of the Brazil GP comments. Let me have a look, see if I can get it up for you guys.
Toto, you're not a happy man, are you? You're really not a happy
Let's hear from Toto Wolff whilst we're doing that, though.
It's being judged with 2 ways here in the sport. At this time,
So you feel that Lewis shouldn't have lost it? Have you got that rear wing back yet? Have you seen it?
We just heard that the 3rd time in a row the Red Bull was allowed to change parts on the rear wing underpart for me. I'm not complaining. We need to race anyway, but I need to clear that up with the FIA.
Have you got your rear wing back yet to have a look at it to see why they threw you out?
No, not yet. They can keep it and cut it in pieces if they want.
So but you feel that maybe the Red Bull had some pieces on the wing, and I've seen the long list of changes before the start of this Grand Prix. You think that's one and the same thing, do you? As
No, I think on the back for me there's rules, and if it becomes a routine that you're changing the same parts 3 times in a row, I think at a certain stage, if the other team is being disqualified by a change that was a reliability issue, the other one can change it. But I don't want to complain. It's the wrong place because the talking needs to be done on track anyway.
Do you think Lewis can win this race?
I'm not sure. I think Valtteri in the front can win. Max can win. Sergio can win. So it's pretty open.
But if it's Valtteri 1 and Lewis 2, you'll swap them around.
I'd like to have that luxury problem.
Okay, thanks a lot. It's back to you, Simon.
So Toto's saying he'd like to have the luxury problem. I think that's a good problem to have, isn't it? Whether you should swap your drivers around or not. But we're now going to hear it from Stefano De Michele.
Today, the energy, the passion that we see all around the world is magic, and this is our duty to keep on rolling this show up to the end and also for the future.
How do you see this? How do you see this race for today, Stefano? Will Lewis win it?
I think that today will be a very long race. I'm expecting a great show, and well, as always, we have it here in Interlagos.
We're going to get up. I know you got other things to do. Okay, let's look to hear from the bosses about Valtteri Bottas.
We're going to hear from Valtteri Bottas next now. See interviews flow thick and fast.
Valtteri, how are you feeling? I mean, you've got that whole run to yourself down to the first corner. Any thoughts on it yet?
Feeling good. It's obviously got to make it starting yet, and this is quite a short run, so I think we just have a normal good start. So first of all, we'll focus for that, and then we'll see.
And it's really hot today. Is that going to be a problem for you guys?
It's a bit hotter in the beginning of the race. It's going to cool down later. So initially, I think everyone is on the same boat with overheating. So we'll see.
Thanks, Valtteri.
So if you can understand what Valtteri was saying, there's a bit of music in the background. He was basically saying that the temperature should drop throughout the race. So now I'm going to try and get to the Twitter comments that I was originally going to. So Alpine F1 update say 2003 hashtag Brazil GP lap 53, the race where Fernando Alonso was on the podium from the hospital. Yes, he had a very serious accident at the end of that race. Hopefully no serious crashes at the end of this one. McLaren saying almost showtime. McLaren fans hashtag Brazil GP and suiting up. And obviously back from the drivers' parade as well. All right, we're going to We Racers 1 now. Formula One's end races on message.
But we all race for something bigger.
It's time we race for equality. It's time we race for sustainability. It's time we race to be global citizens. It's time we race for equal access, opportunities, and representation.
Because sport can change the world, but it's up to us to make sure that change is for the better.
United, we are stronger.
Change starts with you. It needs to come from your heart. Keep working, keep learning, keep on understanding. We have a platform to shift change, starting little by little. Boy or girl, man or women, united for the same causes. We have the opportunity to spread the right message.
If we all pull together, every single person has responsibility.
The best example is our own example.
We need to be responsible on what kind of mark we leave.
We don't have all the answers yet, but we can help find them.
Change starts here. We race.
We race. We race.
We race.
We race. We race as one.
We Racers 1 then. The drivers decide to take the knee in their end racism gesture then. And as always, most of the drivers will take the knee, obviously, but they don't have to. It is entirely their choice, which is the amazing thing about this. So COP26, they pushed a big sustainability aspect of the We Racers 1 project by Formula One, and it's been highly encouraged across the world. But we are now about to hear the Brazilian national anthem.
E será executado pelo maestro João Carlos Martins.
Brazilian national anthem then ringing around Interlagos, and what an amazing national anthem that is. All of the national anthems are so epic as the Brazilian Jets do their fly past then, and we are all set to go racing in Interlagos in about 15 minutes time, and we are just waiting to hear from Lando Norris, and as the fly past takes place then across the start finish straight, we're going to hear from Lando Norris now though.
Yesterday, what are you hoping for from today from fifth?
Not a couple of places, just like yesterday. I mean, our main goal is obviously Carlos in the Ferrari, but it's going to be difficult. It's a long race, a lot more difficult than it was yesterday with the tyres, with the weather and the temperature. But I look forward to it. How much harder is it with the temperature, Lando? What do you have to do to manage that? It's a big chunk harder than yesterday. It's almost double the track tempo what it was. So even getting to the same length of what we did yesterday, it's going to be difficult. But just keep the tyres in a good condition, especially because you want to push to go quicker, but the more you push, the more you go slower in a way. So it's a difficult one to manage.
Is it in your window with this temperature for you and the McLaren, or is it a little bit outside?
It's difficult to know. I'd say some parts of it can be good for us with the Ferrari, what they suffer with, but then also the Ferrari is a slightly better rear of the car than we do. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one, but I know I got to work hard. It's going to be a tough race. So.
Should we get into it? Next time on best of luck today. 10 minutes to go till, just over 10 minutes.
So then it is going to be whose window it's going to be. We're now going to head over to Ted Gravitz actually, who's going to be live from Brazil.
And now here in Brazil, the Red Bull have had to make changes to their rear wing between qualifying, or just before qualifying, going into qualifying, and then the race. So it's starting to look like some sort of habit going on, but it's a different change here in Brazil than the ones they've had before. So here in Brazil, they've actually changed the rear wing upper flap. That's the bit where it says Honda on it, and the flap rear wing snubber. Now it's a great word, a snubber, isn't it? What is it? A snubber is actually a slot gap separator. So if you look at the N of Honda, just underneath that, there's a little separator, and there's one on the either side as well, which makes sure that the gap, the slot gap between the rear wing main plate, that's the bit that doesn't say Honda on it, and the rear wing upper flap, which is new, which does say Honda on it, is actually there. So that's the bit. But of course, in Austin and Mexico, as we see an improvised human wall from the chief engineer here and the chief mechanic, so nothing to hide here, lads, eh? That means that actually it was on the previous failures they had was where the rear wing main plane meets the end plate. So this is a different thing, but what Mercedes is effectively saying, Simon, is this points towards some sort of systematic damage or flaw perhaps in the Red Bull rear wing, and then likening it to the problem they had, where they had damage to their rear wing, and that led to disqualification for Lewis Hamilton from qualifying. Of course, it's not quite the same thing, because the Red Bull rear wing, how delicate it might be, does pass all the tests, whereas of course Hamilton's didn't. So that's the rear wing story. It shouldn't affect Verstappen in the race.
So if Mercedes, Red Bull are changing that rear wing, then there is questions: is it exactly against the rules or is it not? It's tough to know actually how this works. They are changing. We're going to hear from Christian Horner now, actually.
They made changes to the upper flap on the rear wing of Max's car and the rear wing stopper. That's what's happened.
I think what you're referring to is they're perfectly permitted. If you see something from a reliability point of view, if you request permission from the stewards or from the technical delegate, you get permission to change it. It's like the study changed in his engine last week. So, it's very different. I think he's just trying to throw a bit of shade because, it's a very different thing to not passing a test.
Why does that part keep coming up though in part 30? Sorry? Why does that part keep coming up, keeping change in the other part 30?
I think that we saw an issue with it, in FP3. So we've just been keeping an eye on it, and it's obviously had a lot of stress at a circuit like this. So you just want to make sure that everything's fine for the race.
Thanks. Mr. Light, appreciate it, Christian. Let's go to the Sky Pack quickly.
We're going to quickly head to the Sky Pack with Anthony Davidson.
For a better
better start today than he had yesterday. Just watch his head. This 1G of deceleration because the gears weren't in sync allowed Bottas to slip through on the inside. We go to Ocon from yesterday. This is where Lewis Hamilton's going to be starting the race from P10 today. Ocon gets to the outside. This is where Lewis is going to be aiming for because as Ricciardo proves on the inside, you get overtaken around that outside and pushed out wide on the exit of turn 2. So it's all to play for here in Interlagos at the start.
It really is. It so is all to play for here at the start. Let's take you through the starting grid then. Valtteri Bottas starts on pole position with Max Verstappen alongside him in second, Carlos Sainz third, Sergio Perez will start fourth, Lando Norris fifth. He's got Charles Leclerc alongside him with sixth, Gasly will start seventh, Ocon will start eighth, Vettel will start ninth, and the championship Hunter Lewis Hamilton will start 10th. Daniel Ricciardo will start 11th. Alonso will start 12th. The Italian Giovinazzi will start 13th. Lance Stroll will start 14th. Japanese driver Yuki Tsunoda will start 15th. Yuki Tsunoda 16th. George Russell 17th. Mick Schumacher 18th. Nikita Mazepin 19th. And Kimi Raikkonen will start from the pit lane following a grid penalty. Right, we're going to take a very quick break. But when we come back, we'll be live for uninterrupted coverage from the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. We'll see you then in a few moments' time.
Search for
Well, he might not have scored any.
Hello everyone, welcome along to the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, all the way from Interlagos, and we are here in the final four of this World Championship for round 19 of the 2021 FIA Formula One World Championship. We're here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Sao Paulo, then the circuit name Interlagos is Portuguese for between lakes. It's very much a Portuguese dominated era. This year, 100% of the Brazilian Grand Prix carbon emissions will be offset, making it the first ever carbon neutral Grand Prix. The track distance is 4.309 kilometers and a top speed of 350.3 kilometers an hour. 15 turns then in the race, that record of 1:10.6, that's Valtteri Bottas in 2019. Action then, turn 1, 2012, Alonso versus Webber and Massa. What a move that was on that day then. All the way down to Estigo de Lago then. Bruno Senna and Sebastian Vettel tangling in 2012 as well. Sebastian Vettel would then go on to take his third Formula One World Championship. 2019 then, Norris and Leclerc going towards the final corner. And what a great battle that was. Leclerc even gave him a little jinx to the right-hand side as they rose up the hill and towards the start-finish line then. The tyre compounds we have this weekend, the C4, the C5, the C3 and the C2. The soft being the C4 and the hard being the C2 and the medium being the C3 then. And the wets and the intermediates if we need them, but I don't think we will tonight. Starting grid then. Valtteri Bottas starts on pole position with Max Verstappen alongside him. He came second in yesterday's sprint. Carlos Sainz came third. He had Sergio Perez who's chasing him down for the whole 24 laps in fourth. Lando Norris starts fifth with Charles Leclerc in sixth. Pierre Gasly starts seventh. He's got his fellow Frenchman Esteban Ocon alongside him in eighth. Sebastian Vettel starts ninth with Lewis Hamilton in 10th. He's taking a 5-place grid penalty. And he also got disqualified from qualifying. Ricciardo starts 11th with Alonso in 12th. Giovinazzi will start 13th with Lance Stroll in 14th. And then we will have Yuki Tsunoda in 15th alongside Nicholas Latifi in 16th. Russell will start 17th, who for the first time in his career was out-qualified his teammate. Schumacher will start 18th. Mazepin will start 19th. And Kimi Raikkonen will start from the pit lane then. And wow, what a race. What an afternoon we've got in Interlagos. The sun is out. It's absolutely perfecto conditions for racing this afternoon. Charlie Tolhurst to be joining me very, very shortly. Lewis Hamilton gained 15 places in yesterday's 24-lap sprint, but obviously he was pushed back 5 places due to a new internal combustion engine then, which Mercedes say will make them quicker than the Red Bull. Is that going to be the difference in the championship? Max Verstappen and Red Bull have won the Sao Paulo or Brazilian Grand Prix from every front row start at Interlagos 2009, 2010, and many other years as well, including 2019 and 2012 and 2013. Valtteri Bottas then will start first. His championship position is third. Right then, we are about to get on the way for the formation lap very, very shortly. So the tyre options then, the soft, medium, the hard, and the wet and intermediate. But I don't think we are. There's not a cloud in the sky on a November day in Sao Paulo. Right. Here we go. So everyone will start on the mediums other than Yuki Tsunoda, which I believe is starting on the softs end. So Lewis Hamilton starts on a brand new set of mediums. One light's on. And it's going to be one light out very, very shortly as the clock is about to tick 2 o'clock local time. The formation lap is underway. And again, once again, it's Verstappen who's going to be ahead of Bottas going into the first corner on the formation lap. The second place seems to be getting the better start then. Obviously, Valtteri Bottas got Max Verstappen off the start in the sprint, but we will see what happens in the main event in a lap's time. Obviously, those tyres that are in the sun, they might lose they might be able to have less PSI in them than those tyres that are in the shade, of course. Because obviously the tyres that are in the sun are going to be much hotter than the tyres that are in the shade. That both Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen were sitting in the sun on the grid, so potentially should get a better start. But starting P10 is harder than starting P20, believe it or not, because obviously you don't want to get caught up in someone else's accident then. Right, they're already heading towards the last corner on the formation lap then. Christian Horner watches on. Charlie Tolhurst is about to join us. They're just coming onto the grid, Charlie, at the end of the formation lap. So it's Valtteri Bottas will be on pole position alongside him, Max Verstappen, with his championship rival all the way down in 10th position following that disqualification from Friday night qualifying due to a DRS infringement. Whether you like it or not, Charlie, that was against the rules.
Yeah. I watched the blogs and I found that quite interesting, actually. All the comments that were coming out about Hamilton's DRS infringement there.
Meanwhile, Mercedes have reported Max Verstappen to the stewards for changing his rear wing under parc fermé conditions. And Kimi Raikkonen will start this race from the pit lane. So they are lining up on the grid on that hill, Charlie. It's a really steep incline. And not unsurprisingly, Hamilton's backing everyone up out of the final corner.
Yeah, he was a rocket ship yesterday in the sprint. 16 overtakes. What is your chances of him even winning today with that new engine in?
A lot higher temperatures, Charlie, not Mercedes conditions. But the front runners have been sitting on the grid for a very long time then. The heart pulse is raised as the medical car with Alan van der Merwe and Dr. Ian Roberts pulls into the back. We have now got a green flag at the back. We have got 3, 4, 5 red lights into Lagos, and it's the Sao Paulo Grand Prix is go. It's an equal start from the front two, and Verstappen goes down the inside of the centre S, and there's already an incident further back, and it's the McLaren that's off, and Verstappen's got the lead of the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. But Lewis Hamilton's had a rocket ship at the start again. And the two Ferraris are going for it. The two Ferraris are wheel to wheel into Estigo de Lago. And Perez also gives it a go on Valtteri Bottas. Bottas is off. Both the Ferraris are off as well. And Hamilton, I believe, is up to 6th already, Charlie.
4 places. I said he's a rocket ship.
Fine, Charlie, round the outside and Hamilton goes for it. What a move on the horseshoe from Lewis Hamilton on Yuki Tsunoda. And there's an Alpine also trying. Yuki Tsunoda at the start as well. But Hamilton, Charlie, is up to 7th already.
Oh, Hamilton is going for it already. I think I could even see him potentially winning this race today. He's got a chance.
It's a Red Bull 1-2, Sergio Perez. And there's an Alpine going up the inside of Daniel Ricciardo. That doesn't quite work at the final corner, but they're going to be wheel to wheel. Up to the start-finish line, Lando Norris has got a puncture on the opening lap and is tumbling down the order. And Hamilton goes round the outside of Sebastian Vettel. He's up to 6th already.
God, Hamilton's made a blistering getaway. He's up to 6th from 10th on the grid. So he's gained about 4 or 5 positions on the opening lap.
And he's got the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz in his... He's going to try the inside at Estigo de Lago, but thinks better of that. And as he started 10th, Charlie, he's up to 6th. He's made a good start at the Sao Paulo Grand Prix.
Yeah, he's made a blistering getaway. That's a great start for Lewis. Norris, meanwhile, is in the pits. He's had contact with a Ferrari, I believe, by what I'm reading up here. I'm not sure who that was.
It's a slow stop, Charlie. It's a really slow stop, and he still stands still.
Oh.
And he must have been standstill for 5.9 seconds was that stop. Meanwhile, Hamilton is now right on the rear wing of the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. And he's going to get a decent tow out of the last corner all the way into the centre S. Verstappen sets the fastest lap. Hamilton's going to go for it down the inside of the centre S on Carlos Sainz. And he's actually done that before the braking zone of that corner. Hamilton up to 5th now, Charlie, and only 5.5 seconds off the race lead.
I'm gonna go for a bold prediction. I think Lewis Hamilton could be potentially the winner this afternoon if he keeps driving like this.
DRS has been enabled, and let's take a look at that race start again. Valtteri Bottas just didn't get away in the second start of the phase. Oh, and that's how Lando Norris got a puncture. He clipped the front wing of Charles Leclerc.
That's a racing incident. That happens.
I think it might have been Carlos Sainz, actually. I'm surprised that Ferrari hasn't got any front wing damage. Was it? Yes, it was Carlos Sainz. Let's go on board with Sainz now. And it was tied to tyre. And Sainz radio. Sainz saying he got squeezed. That's possibly...
Yeah, that's a racing incident. That's not anyone's fault.
Let's have a look from where Lewis Hamilton was then. And he got a nice slipstream, Charlie. And he went 3 wide into the centre S. And he didn't quite get better. Better on the outside. That's a much better line to be taken. But he still got the Alpine off the start. And then he was really racy down the Retro de Posta as well.
Yeah, I've just read up as well that he's just taken both Ferraris.
Yes. I haven't seen him get past Charles Leclerc yet.
It's just updated on my timing screen. So he's obviously got past Leclerc somewhere.
I think he has, Charlie. Yes, he has now. And he's now closing down. The next car up the road, Charlie, is the Red Bull of Sergio Perez. His teammate. After his teammate.
Bottas.
Valtteri Bottas, as Toto Wolff said in the pre-race show, will be obliged to let his teammate through if he closes the gap. We're just having a look. Yes, Hamilton up to 4th, Charlie. You're right. He did get past both Ferraris. Yuki Tsunoda has made contact, indeed, with the Aston Martin. And I think someone else might. Let's have a look. The Aston Martin and Lance Stroll's lost an awful lot of bodywork. There's an awful lot of debris on the track, Charlie. This might have to be a safety car.
Possibly.
At turn 1. There's a lot of debris on the track. And Hamilton's up to 3rd, Charlie. He's got past his teammate, Valtteri Bottas.
I don't even work.
Tsunoda's lost his front wing, Charlie. But there's a lot of debris on that start-finish at the centre S. So we will see. They won't have enough time, Charlie, with the virtual safety car. So it would have to be a full safety car if they were going to do that. But we will wait and see what race control say. And Yuki Tsunoda, front wing change, but he's lost half of his barge board as well.
I think he's got floor damage, Tsunoda.
There's a slippery flag out. There's a slippery track flag out, Charlie, at turn 1. So I'm wondering if there's some oil down there from that contact as well. But the cars are making their way around. Hamilton set the fastest lap of the race, and I'm sure they're all going to be told to stay up on the racing line in turn 1. Let's have a look at that debris. Yes, it is a lot.
They need a safety car.
Wing down there. There's end plates down there. There's absolutely everything from the front end of Yuki Tsunoda's AlphaTauri down there.
Yeah, Yuki's obviously had a big hit or something down at turn 1. And he's left a load of body debris on the circuit.
Half a second quicker than Perez on the last lap. Let's go on board with Lewis Hamilton now. Bottas, sorry. Oh, so Bottas was told to let his teammate through. That's not a big surprise, is it really?
No, they knew he was going to do that.
And Hamilton's telling his team to say thank you to his teammate, Valtteri Bottas. And you'll not be at all surprised to hear that the safety car has been deployed.
Yeah, they've got to clear that. The last thing you want is someone running over and getting a puncture from that debris.
Yeah. And that will be for the debris at turn 1.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they'll have to stop it here, Charlie, because they might need the track sweepers out as well.
I'll be surprised about that.
They should be all right to do it under a safety car if they can get the marshals and their old broomsticks out. There's a front wing down there, as we said. There's half an Aston Martin down there. There's half an AlphaTauri down there. Let's have a look at it again then. So Tsunoda goes for it, Charlie. I don't really think that move is on, if I'm honest.
No, I think Yuki Tsunoda's gone for a move that ends up... I think he's gone for a gap and the gap wasn't there. And Stroll's just turned in.
So the safety car is going very slow. George Russell's in the pits. Now that is an interesting one. He's gone onto the hard compound tyres. And is he going to try and go to the end of the race on those hards? He's the only driver that has come into the pits. But, Charlie, this has given Lewis Hamilton a massive opportunity to get past Perez at the restart. Because obviously the safety car closes the gap. It closes the field.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to say something. I don't know how much pace Mercedes have found out of Hamilton's new engine. It's got to be a couple of tenths.
The safety car, Charlie, is to come through the pit lane.
Right. Interesting.
So that will be for them to let them clear up the debris. Hamilton radio then. And Lewis, if you couldn't hear that, Lewis was saying, tell Valtteri to follow me in the slipstream and let's get these guys up ahead. So how quickly is it, Charlie, that Hamilton can catch the Red Bulls?
I'm not sure, but I have a feeling if he goes up against Verstappen will certainly not want to give him an inch.
No, so everyone comes through the pit lane, but no one makes their stop. I think they've got the majority of that debris cleared now, so we should be good to go in the next couple of laps. Let's have a look at the start then from Sergio Perez. And Verstappen did just he actually pushed Bottas off the track. That's how he actually got through. But Charlie, it's the first lap. I think the stewards would let that one go. And then,
I'll be surprised if he gets penalised for that, unless
Perez
he falls
picks up a lovely slipstream, and he tries the outside at Estigo de Largo. Bottas runs wide. He then gets the inside for turn 5 and up to the horseshoe.
Yeah. I mean, Bottas just made an error and went off the track, and Perez got the advantage there.
But obviously, Charlie, this safety car has come as a mass. It's like Christmas has come early for Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah. Yeah, no, at least I got into the Christmas spirit by buying a Christmas jumper today. So I'm all looking forward to it.
Let's go then. Lights still on the safety car. So I don't think it's going to be coming in this lap. So we'll stay out for another lap then. And it will continue to go through the pit lane. What they might do, Charlie, is they might send it round once without going through the pit lane, just so it can pick up the speed a bit and help the drivers getting back into the temperature back into the tyres. But it is heading through the pit lane this time. And we will see if... No, it isn't. Is it going to head through the pit lane? Yes, it is going to head through the pit lane. It's the second time it's safety car through the pit lane. That pit wall, Charlie, whenever I watch the end of that pit wall, whenever I watch an onboard, it always daunts me as to how quick it comes upon you. Because you think if you hit that pit wall, it's going to hurt.
It will give you a lot of damage, particularly on your tyres.
Well, I think more the tyres, Charlie. I think it certainly put you out of the race.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to look at Indy 500 a couple of years ago. Rinus VeeKay crashed into the pit wall heavily, and he smashed his car up.
Well, obviously, when Fernando Alonso had his accident there in 2003, didn't he? He hit a tyre and smashed into that wall there. So safety car stays out for another lap. It'd be good. They can just cool their engines down a bit now, Charlie, and get ready, charge the batteries, and I'm sure Lewis Hamilton is going to be right on the rear wing of Sergio Perez.
Yeah, Verstappen's going to have to. I think Max has got to get racy now. I think he's going to have to go for it. He's going to have to pull away at the start.
You guys can't hear it. Safety car will be in this lap, by the way. But Christian Horner is saying the safety car really did not play into our hands. But we are going to get racing at the end of this lap then. Hasn't now clear. But where does Charlie, Max Verstappen, get his foot down? It's going to have to go as close to the safety car line, which is the start-finish line, as he possibly can, because otherwise Lewis Hamilton is going to be on him and Sergio Perez like a horse.
Yeah, he's going to be right. He's going to go for it, isn't he, with that new engine in that Mercedes?
So he's going to take them, Charlie, right to the finish line. But when does he go? Does Hamilton take that risk into turn one? Perez is trying to drop back a bit. He's still weaving. They're still weaving as they head through the final, the bank part and onto the home straight. He's still weaving, Charlie. He is going right to the line. Now he goes. Now he floors it. But Hamilton's got a really good restart as well. And Hamilton is not going to... He's going to try the outside. And Leclerc goes to the outside of Valtteri Bottas, does he? At turn two, no, he can't quite do it. But Hamilton, Charlie, didn't quite get past Sergio Perez at the restart.
No, Verstappen's got to get his foot down now if he's going to get away from the Mercedes.
And Bottas picked up a good slipstream from his teammate Lewis Hamilton, which I think just about kept him ahead of the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. But Leclerc's going to go up the inside of the horseshoe. This is going to be tight. And he decides to back out of that one. Otherwise, Charlie, that was going to end with them both in the fence.
Yeah. Bottas certainly trying to use Hamilton as a backup, but will Hamilton actually give Bottas slipstream? We don't know.
And Norris has caught right back up. He's up to 17th already. He's passed both Williams drivers. I think the Red Bulls, Charlie, just about fired their cars up a bit quicker. Tsunoda does 2 Williams in one corner then as well. But let's see. Verstappen is extending his lead out in front to 1.3 seconds. Hamilton is within DRS range, but of course there isn't DRS for the first 3 laps. Lance Stroll and Yuki Tsunoda will be is now under investigation. So that incident that brought out the safety car is now under investigation.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Stroll is... let me just check. Oh, yeah, Stroll is still in the race. I thought that there would have been a retirement there, but they've had damage onto their cars. They need to be repaired.
Schumacher's dropped right down. Raikkonen's dropped right down. I wonder what's happened to them. Raikkonen's made up a place on Lando Norris. Lance Stroll's got past Fernando Alonso for 12th. I don't think Stroll would be... And there's been another incident, Charlie, and Mick Schumacher has lost his front wing. Now, how has that happened?
That's a bizarre one. I'm going to have to check.
Now, that could have left more debris on the track. It's shredding debris everywhere.
Oh.
Schumacher radio. And it's under the car, Charlie, and that is disintegrating all over the circuit. Let's see how it happened. I think it's contact with an Alfa Romeo of German Nancy. Yes, it is. He got a bit happy with the throttle, Charlie, and just slid straight into the rear tyre of Giovinazzi. It wouldn't surprise me if Giovinazzi has got a puncture.
I wouldn't be surprised.
The car is out now, Charlie, so we can clear up the debris. But I think just as it was coming out, Charlie, Hamilton was alongside Sergio Perez.
That's going to be interesting.
So it isn't the full safety car, it's the virtual safety car.
Yep. VSC, as it's called in Formula 1.
So it isn't. Oh, and as the remainder of the front wing, Charlie gets thrown to the side of the pit, of the Haas pits, and that would have done a lot of damage to the floor because the way the front wing got trapped under the car.
Yeah. He's obviously not happy, Mick Schumacher, that he's made a mistake.
So, virtual safety car still out then. Obviously, Charlie, it can be withdrawn at any point throughout the lap, the virtual safety car. It's not like the full safety car where you have to go to the pit lane, is it? Really? It can be.
No, it can be done anytime, at any point on the circuit. So this is all of the drivers will maximise their gaps that they've currently got at the moment.
But Hamilton, Charlie, is really trying to stay close to the rear wing of Sergio Perez. I wonder if he's going to try and outdo him on the virtual safety car restart.
Probably. I think Hamilton's looking racing now. He really wants to get points today off the Max Verstappen if he wants to.
But where it is going to be, whereabouts does the virtual safety car get withdrawn? If it's withdrawn at the final corner, Charlie, Hamilton could be laughing. But there's still a double weight. There's still debris on the track heading through Sector 2. I wonder if it will need another full safety car to get that bit of debris cleared because of the way the cars are scattered out across the lap. We'll wait and see what Michael Massey. He's had a very, very busy weekend with the stewards. Mate, whilst we got a little break, Charlie, we'll talk about that. Lewis Hamilton obviously got disqualified from qualifying. But it wasn't actually the team's fault, Charlie. It was caused because of damage.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. I mean, I saw Ted Kravitz talking about this the other day. He tried to put a pencil through the wing. So, yeah, it was an interesting one. I think it did. It's clear that Mercedes, there must have been some trickery around the regulations that Mercedes breached.
But, Charlie, if it's damaged, if they can prove it's damaged throughout the session, then why would the stewards feel the need to disqualify them if it technically isn't their fault? As the virtual safety car is ending right at the end of the straight for Lewis Hamilton then, so not where he wanted it to end. But we are about to go back to green flag racing, and we are now back to green flag racing, and Hamilton wasn't on it at the virtual safety car restart. The Red Bull Sergio Perez was well on it at the restart, and the Latifi's coming to the pits. Russell was on it at the restart. He got straight past Yuki Tsunoda, who's under investigation for that lunge that really wasn't a lunge up the inside. But Hamilton, Charlie's right on the rear wing of Sergio Perez going into the final corner. He's dropped back a bit now, actually. I wonder if it's going to be a battery charge lap, then an unleash lap. But do not rule Lewis Hamilton out of winning this Sao Paulo Grand Prix.
I will rule him out. He's got a very fast car today. That Mercedes with that new engine is flying.
So it's a little bit too far back going into the Senna S. And the Ferrari Charlie Carlos Sainz has lost its wheel markings. I guess that was from the contact with Lando Norris. So Hamilton getting in the slipstream. No DRS yet then because of the virtual safety car down the Retrofidio de Posta. He closed a bit, Charlie, but he wasn't close enough. When DRS is enabled, I think Sergio Perez could be in a bit of bother.
He will be left vulnerable to the rampant Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton. Car number 44 will be rampant, trust me.
And Yuki Tsunoda, Charlie's been handed a 10-second time penalty for causing a collision at turn 1.
Yeah, no, it sounds like the stewards have deemed him at fault for going through a gap that wasn't there.
And again, Hamilton isn't going to be close enough going through the final corner. Just getting confirmation of that time penalty for Yuki Tsunoda. DRS, Charlie, should be enabled at the end of this lap. It might be the next one, actually, because it's 3 full racing laps, isn't it?
Yeah.
He thought about it, Charlie, at the centre rest, did Lewis Hamilton, but he decided he would be better off. Right. Down the Retrofido de Posta. Now he's got DRS, I think, and he's making a very big gain. But again, he just isn't close enough. George Russell's tumbling down the order. He's lost about 3 places in one corner. As the Williams driver who's having a pretty torrid weekend, Charlie.
Russ Williams have been off the pace this weekend. Qualifying for them wasn't particularly great either.
And Mazepin and Raikkonen are having a good battle. Perez radio. And Perez is saying, get Max to give me DRS, Charlie. But all that's doing is backing his teammate up into the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton's a lot closer off the final corner, and he has now got DRS going down the start-finish straight. I think he has anyway. Yes, the letterbox is open at the back of that Mercedes car, but I don't think he's just not going to be close enough going into the centre S. But if he can get a good exit from the centre S, he might be able to get a run into Estigo de Largo. And through the Curva del Sol they go. He's gaining on Perez, he's gaining on Perez, he's gaining on Perez, but the Red Bull straight line speed is just going to be a bit too strong for the Mercedes. But all the while, Charlie, that Max Verstappen is out in front, he's extending his lead.
Yeah, Verstappen's extending. This is what he's got to do. He's got to keep this up if he's going to win the race, get more points in this World Championship.
It could be a strategic battle between, it is now officially 2 Mercedes versus 2 Red Bulls, because Valtteri Bottas is right behind his teammate in 4th, Charlie. So I think that's why Perez wants to keep Hamilton behind, because he knows if he lets Hamilton through, Bottas will be on quick soon after as well. Right then, so that heading on to lap 18 at 71 of this Sao Paulo Grand Prix, and the top 3 is Verstappen, Perez and Hamilton. And Perez now weaving down the start-finish straight to break the slipstream. Is Hamilton going to be close enough for a move? He's trying the outside of Sergio Perez. At turn 1, he's done it. And he's up into 2nd position. It's Lewis Hamilton. And the crowd in Brazil are loving that one, Charlie. They are on their feet at turn 1. But Perez is going to come back at him into Estigo de Largo. Perez is going to try the outside and Perez gets back through.
Great racing between the pair of them.
Now, does Hamilton, Charlie, need to make the move into Estigo de Largo and not the centre S?
Maybe. That's going to be interesting. Because Perez got back through with DRS as well.
3.7 seconds then, Verstappen's gap to his teammate. Right, here we go again then, as we head on to the start-finish straight for round 2 of Perez versus Hamilton. It's Turkey all over again. And once again, Hamilton's going to get DRS. And once again, he's going to get the slipstream. And once again, he's going to be going to the outside at the centre S. And he's got the job done. But is Perez going to get the position back at Estigo de Largo? I don't think he is, Charlie, because through the Curva del Sol, he's dropped right back. And no, he isn't. Hamilton's up to 2nd. And the chase to Max Verstappen is now on.
Hamilton's 3 seconds behind Verstappen now. It's going to be tight.
And Valtteri Bottas is right on the rear wing of Sergio Perez now as well. This could be, Charlie, a make or break in terms of the championship for Lewis Hamilton.
Could be a make or break weekend for Mercedes. This new engine is giving him so much performance.
And Hamilton, Charlie, has got loads of confidence, so much confidence on the brakes at the centre S. 3.9 seconds to gap out in front. and he has got a bit of clean air, Charlie, just to cool and keep those engine temperatures down.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. If Hamilton wins from 10th today, I can see him being driver of the day.
100%, Charlie. Well, I think he might already be driver of the day if he finishes in second. But Perez has got Valtteri Bottas for company in turn 1, but Bottas can't. He's just that little bit too far back through the Curva del Sol. Hamilton took a 10th and a half out of Verstappen on the last lap, and I think Valtteri Bottas will just be a bit too far back into Estigo de Largo. He thinks about it though, Charlie.
Mm.
And let's go on board with Sergio Perez for that replay of that Hamilton move. He just went, Charlie, to the outside, and he went really late on the brakes. He loves that outside move. We saw him do that plenty of times in the sprint yesterday.
Yeah, I think Perez just decided to back out of it in the end. And he knew Hamilton was fully alongside him, and he knew he was ahead into the braking zone.
And if you're a cricket fan, you'll be pleased to hear that Australia has won the T20 Cricket World Cup. I just thought I'd mention that if you're a cricket fan. And I think Daniel Ricciardo, Charlie, will be very, very happy with that.
Yeah, running 9th at the moment, Daniel Ricciardo, behind Sebastian Vettel, actually within DRS range, according to the latest timings.
He is. And Daniel Ricciardo's just got... Sebastian Vettel actually just got past Daniel Ricciardo. And Hamilton Valtteri Bottas, through the Curva del Sol, Ricciardo's actually just got back ahead of Vettel on the start-finish straight. Valtteri Bottas with DRS, but he's just struggling to get past that Red Bull as Alonso gets past Stroll down the start-finish straight as well. That is where the predominantly of the overtaking moves are, Charlie, because you can overtake on this Autodromo Jose Carlos Pathé.
Yeah, you can easily overtake it into Lagos. It's got 2 DRS zones, but very powerful.
The gap out in front, 3.7 seconds. I wonder if Hamilton's playing this strategically now, and he's just going to preserve his tyres a bit and maybe try the overcut or undercut on the Red Bull.
That's what I think Mercedes will be thinking about now. James Vowles, his chief strategist, going to have to think about this.
Well, obviously, some of the runners have pitted near the back when they've got nothing to lose, or maybe they've picked up some damage as well. But the front runners, Charlie, would you say that 22 is still a bit early to be making the dive into the pits at this stage?
I've got on the graphics here that some drivers have says pit 2. They must have pitted. I don't know.
Yes, so I believe Russell has pitted. Sonoda.
Oh, that's how many times they've gone through the pit spot.
Damages. Giovinazzi goes for it on, who was that? Lance Stroll, but he doesn't quite do it, Charlie. I think that floor damage to that Aston Martin is really costing him.
Yeah, it's compromising Lance Stroll's race because he's just struggling to get grip in that Aston Martin around this circuit.
And Lewis Hamilton has a top speed of 305 kilometers an hour down the start-finish straight, Charlie, with that's without DRS.
God, that's a rocket ship, that is.
$186 for Max Verstappen, 189 for Lewis Hamilton. It doesn't seem much, does it? But trust me, in a Formula One car, that's a big, big gain.
3 miles an hour in it between the Mercedes and the Honda-powered Red Bull.
And Ted Gravitz is just telling us, Charlie, that Verstappen's been reassured that he's holding the advantage in the middle sector, but he isn't holding the advantage on the straight. Stroll's in the pits, and he's coming in for a pit stop as well, and it's going to put the hard compound tyres on. It's a slow stop, and he's just got out, but 4.3 seconds from the Aston Martin crew, Charlie. They will not be happy with that.
No, that's a slow one for Stroll, and I believe that's dropped him well down the field now as well. He's come out
to 19th.
19th.
With only the Haas of Schumacher is having a torrid afternoon. He lost half his front wing at the safety car restart. And he really is not having a nice day. It's been a tough season for Haas, Charlie. And if they weren't to score a point in the final 4 races, including this one, it would be their first non-point scoring season in their history of racing in Formula One. Charlie, what has happened to them?
They've had I can tell you that they've had an underdeveloping car this year. The car they brought was essentially last year's one, facelifted. That was it, really. They didn't bring any major development to this year's car.
Do you think they're more focusing on the 2022 car?
Yeah, 100%. They're focusing on the regulation change next year. They really want to get back up there with that.
Lando Norris has a small lock up into the first corner. He is pursuing Giovinazzi.
Norris on the hards. I'm going to be interested to see how far he goes.
Is it going to be a 2-stop? That could be the more preferred strategy. And the staff from radio, let's have a listen. Hamilton's made a mistake, Charlie, somewhere in the lap because he's lost half a second.
Yeah, the gap was down to about 4 seconds just a minute ago.
Or was it Verstappen had DRS to get past the back marker of Mick Schumacher? That might have been
maybe
a bit more likely. So Hamilton was 2 tenths behind on that last lap. I wonder if those mediums had just started to lose their edge a bit. Obviously, we saw them go to full length in the sprint. We're 25 laps in now. The sprint obviously only being 24. But Verstappen, Charlie, saying he's sliding a lot more.
I wouldn't be surprised if one of them pits soon because they're struggling for tyres. Struggling to get grip in them.
And Hamilton had oversteer at turn 10. And that's obviously where he's lost a bit of time. But he has made that time back up a bit now. Is it, Charlie, going to be here? Are we going to hear the message? It's hammer time from P. Bonington. It might be. It's hammer time.
Be interesting. Gap at the moment, 3.7 between the two drivers. Interesting. Very stabilising at the moment.
Now, if we're going for a 2-stop strategy, it would be around now that you would start seeing some action in the pits. And right on cue, Pierre Gasly pulls right into the pit lane. I couldn't have timed it better myself, Charlie.
Gasly's fallen a few positions. I don't know where Gasly finished yesterday, but he's down in 8th.
And he's just coming into the pits now. And I presume it will be a set of hards going on that car. Yes, it will be. And it's a good stop from the AlphaTauri crew. 2.9 seconds then. One of the better stops that we've seen this evening in Brazil. And he's going to come out in 15th position. It's a really tricky pit lane exit though, Charlie. It's a Monaco-style pit lane exit, isn't it, with the barriers either side?
It doesn't feed out into turn 1. It feeds out on the exit of turn 3 at this circuit, so it's very unique.
It does. It's a very unique pit exit. Not as unique as Abu Dhabi, though, where we're going in a few weeks' time to end the season. And who will be being crowned the champion that weekend. And Hamilton's in the pits, Charlie. Hamilton's in the pits then. They're pitting him early. And it's going to be a set of hard compound tyres that go on that Mercedes car. It's a good stop. In fact, it's a super stop. It's 2.4 seconds, Charlie.
I think this is Mercedes going for the undercut on Red Bull.
The Ferrari of Sainz is also in the pits. And I think that's going to be a set of hards as well. Yes, it will be. But it's also 2.8. It's a slightly slower than the Mercedes. But what will Red Bull do to react to this then? Will Verstappen be coming in on the next lap? Have Mercedes throwing the strategy out the window for Red Bull here?
Think about that. Mercedes are known for this. They're known for the strategical masterclass. Will they
24
make it work?
seconds is the gap then. So, it would be touch and go, wouldn't it, on the pit lane exit? Box, Verstappen is coming in this lap then, and he's in the pits. Hamilton's heading into the last proper corner. Let's see what the Verstappen stop time is. It's 2.4. It's exactly the same, Charlie. Hamilton is coming down the pit straight now as Verstappen is coming towards the end of the pit lane. It's going to be I think Verstappen is just going to have him because Hamilton's got held up by a back marker. It might not be, though. It's going to be a lot closer than we thought it was, and it's going to be a lot closer than what it was before, Charlie. It's 1.6 seconds is the gap.
Yeah, Verstappen will have fresher tyres, though, only by a lap, though.
And Hamilton's going to have a lot warmer tyres as well because he's obviously had a lap to get them up to temperature.
Yeah, the graphics we haven't quite got the update from the standings yet, but I'm assuming Hamilton and Verstappen are, well, they're back. Oh, mind you, they're back in
tyres. So both of them went for the hards. And this is going to be a pretty crucial moment in the championship then. And Perez is in the pits. So Bottas now is out front.
Yeah, Bottas is leading.
Going to play some games.
Will Valtteri Bottas play his own tactics here with Max Verstappen and try and hold him up?
And Perez almost puts it in the wall on the exit of the pits. We were talking about how tight it was. Vettel's in the pits. He's tumbling down the order. Raikkonen's also in the pits. So it's very much looking like it's going to be a two-stop race. And who's that behind Carlos Sainz? It's that Lando Norris trying the outside at Estigo de Largo. It might become the inside. No, it doesn't quite. And Raikkonen, Charlie, has gone all the way down to 19th position.
Oh, Kimi's afternoon's gone so wrong now.
And believe it or not, Charlie, I've just been told what we said, that Mercedes are leaving Bottas out to hold up Verstappen. And why would they not? Because Hamilton got another fastest lap. 1.2 seconds, Charlie. Out between Hamilton and Verstappen. Bottas stays out for another lap as we head on to lap 30 of the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, and Pierre Gasly is going to try and move on Lando Norris into turn one. Late on the brakes, down the inside, Pierre Gasly gets that job done nice and easy. Lando Norris didn't really put up a bit of a fight for that one, Charlie.
No, Norris knew that Gasly was coming through, and Gasly's now up into the points.
Giovinazzi in the pits. Oh, virtual safety car.
Virtual safety car?
On the track as Lance Stroll, Charlie.
Oh.
Something has flown off the rear end of that car.
Oh, dear. How's that happened?
I wonder if that's from the contact with Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah, that's probably a part of his barge ball that's flown off.
So I think they've got that clear now. And Valtteri Bottas is coming into the pits then. So it's obviously a cheap stop, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a cheap stop.
He will only lose 11 seconds.
This will put Bottas in play here, actually.
The virtual safety car's ending.
Ah. Maybe not then. It's ending.
And he's not going to come out ahead of the green flag. And once again, Verstappen nails the restart. Verstappen radio. Verstappen saying watch for the undercut. Ocon's in the pits. But Bottas, Charlie, has been brought right back into this race by that effectively free pit stop.
Yeah, it has. He's given him a big opportunity now.
Because obviously he's pitting when everyone else is having to go virtual safety car speed, which is effectively the safety car speed, isn't it? But without the safety car.
Yeah.
1.3 seconds then, 1.2 now as they head on to the start-finish straight. Leaders, Hamilton versus Verstappen is resumed.
Bottas is ahead of Perez, so he's managed to undercut the Red Bull of Sergio Perez now.
Hamilton's within DRS now, Charlie. I mean, he's just dropped out of it onto the Rettifilo de Posta. Yes, he has, but he's back in it again, Charlie. 9 tenths now is the gap. 8 tenths now. Hamilton's really using his power unit to get ahead or to close down the Red Bull. Will Verstappen put up a fight? I think he will, because this is for the championship.
Yeah, this is for the championship. This is what we want to see. 2 title rivals going.
Well, back down to a second. Hamilton's made a bit of a mistake. Could that have cost him some DRS this lap? Gasly's got past Ricciardo for 8th position. 1 point base back up to 1.2 now. 1.163. Hamilton's struggling in the dirty air through the middle sector. That's the problem for the Mercedes, but he's getting towed along down the straights. And when he gets to the straights, Verstappen's just still that fastest lap away from him.
Yeah. They're both matching each other. Like, it's closer than you think it is out there.
But Valtteri Bottas has just stole the fastest lap away from Max Verstappen for good measure.
Yeah.
So, Hamilton's 2 tenths of a second slower through the second sector. That's because he's following Charlie. We know the Mercedes doesn't follow well through the low speed corners.
No, it struggles to keep its check through there.
Leclerc has got past Fernando Alonso in the final corner.
I don't think Alonso's pitted yet. That's probably why he's that high up.
No, I don't think Alonso has pitted yet. Raikkonen's got past the Williams of Nicholas Latifi as we are heading up to halfway stage of this Brazilian Grand Prix, this Sao Paulo Grand Prix, sorry. But it's been thoroughly entertaining so far.
It has. I've actually enjoyed watching this at the moment. It's been a good race.
And Hamilton didn't get DRS again. Is he just dropping back slightly, Charlie, to recharge the battery and go again? Verstappen radio. So Verstappen can afford to take a bit of life out of those tyres, knowing that Lewis is struggling a bit in the middle sector. But Charlie, he doesn't want to take too much out of those tyres that they fall off the cliff either.
No, it's going to be about tyre management. Remember 2016, Verstappen's first win? He made those tyres last at the end of the race.
I don't think he'll be making those tyres last today. I'm sure he will have to pit again at some point. And when will they pit? Will probably be in about 20 laps time, which would take us to lap 54. I don't think, Charlie, they would go, 37 laps? I don't think they'd go that far.
No.
36 laps. No, they wouldn't go that far.
I'm sure Norris and Raikkonen will pit and Latifi will pit. I'll have to pit again.
Well, they might try and... They couldn't... Well, I don't think they could potentially try and hang it out, but I don't think they would do.
Gasly's up. Alonso's in the pits by the sounds of it. He's dropping down the field.
Alonso is in the pits. He's gone tumbling down the order again. And his medium tyres have had enough.
Good stint for Fernando though on the tyres. He's managed.
Oh, it's slow, Charlie. It's slow. He's still stationary.
Oh
4
no!
seconds. And Alonso, all that hard work, has been untied in the pit stops, and he's going to come out side by side with Lance Stroll on the pit lane exit. He might actually, he's going to be just ahead, but Alonso has gone all the way down to 14th.
Yeah, shows what happens when you start for a long time and you're up that high. You haven't pitted.
And we, yeah. Wait. It's kind of they're settling into a bit of a rhythm now, this race. Let's have a look and see what happened with Alonso. If it was just that, it was at the rear. It's the rear left. Didn't want to go on. So Hamilton still 1.2 seconds out front. Let's see what they do during what the Mercedes can do in the middle sector. That's where it seems to be struggling following the Red Bull, but Hamilton was 12 kilometres an hour faster going into turn 6.
Russell and Alonso having a bit of a battle by the looks of it.
Yes, they are. Russell and Alonso. Alonso 0.3 of a second behind George Russell. Yeah, Hamilton, he just can't do it, Charlie, into turn 10. That's where he loses the time.
Yeah. Hamilton's Mercedes clearly struggling in the middle sector. Red Bull seat could have this covered today, but it can all change.
It can all change, Charlie. It really can. And Alonso's got past George Russell for good measure as well. Don't know whereabouts on the track. He done that. Hamilton goes wide, though, at the centre S. I don't remember that's a new line he's trying out to get it right through the Curva del Sol. Maybe. But it didn't. He looked like he went a bit offline. And if Hamilton was to get past Verstappen, 14 points would be the gap going into the Sao next week, Charlie. As Alonso's about to get past Yuki, the AlphaTauri of Ocon, sorry, Yuki Tsunoda at turn 1, Ocon up to 10th and into the points paying positions.
Yeah, Tsunoda's weekend is going downhill and he will have a 10-second penalty, probably coming his way later.
1.6 seconds, the gap out front then. As the Constructors' Championship stands, AlphaTauri would move above Alpine by 5 points then into 5th position. Then it would be McLaren Mercedes in 4th, and Ferrari would be in 3rd, and obviously Red Bull would be 2nd, and Mercedes are out in front in the Constructors' Championship.
Gasly's 7th at the moment. He's going to be one to watch.
Charlie, Hamilton knows he needs to win this race for the World Championship. He's slightly slower at this phase of the race. Maybe it's tyre management. Someone's coming into the pits. And it's Lando Norris. He's finally going to deposit those hard tyres that he's had on since lap 2 of this race. Obviously, he picked up a puncher, but it's slow for Lando as well, Charlie. 3.8 that time.
McLaren stopped. What is going on with them today? McLaren need
and Norris is going to fall all the way down to 17th position.
Oh. That's wrecked his afternoon, that pit stop.
He should come out ahead of Nicholas Latifi. Yes, he will. And obviously, Charlie, all that Hamilton's doing is preserving his tyres at the moment.
Yeah.
And always the Aston Martin's going to try the outside of Yuki Tsunoda and Sebastian Vettel at the horseshoe. Is he going to try? No, he just can't. Can't make it stick. And he's going to go into the final turn 13, turns out. And it's a battle for 3 here, Charlie. involving Alonso as well. This is the battle for 10th. And Yuki Tsunoda could be in trouble here. He's got no DRS. And Vettel goes past. Alonso goes through into turn 1. Yuki Tsunoda loses 2 places in 1 corner. But Alonso is going to get DRS again on Sebastian Vettel on the Rettifino de Posta and towards the Sigo de Lago. But we go for a replay break, Charlie, right at the wrong time again.
Yeah. I think Yuki Tsunoda's clearly struggling. He's got damage. I wouldn't be surprised.
Right, Hamilton's brought that gap down to about a second. Hamilton radio. So the predicted pit stop strategy is that anyone on the hard would pit for the medium on around lap 40, on around lap 49 to 54, Charlie, which was what we predicted in the pre-race show.
Yeah, I'd be surprised.
Alonso's going to get Vettel into turn 1. He's up to 10th. What were you going to say, Charlie?
I was just going to say that it's going to be interesting, like if they were to come in 14 laps time, what tyres would they go on? Would they try the mediums? Well, the softs probably won't last.
Verstappen's coming in, Charlie. Verstappen's boxing this lap.
Oh, interesting.
And will Lewis Hamilton come in, Charlie, or will he stay out and try to charge on fresher tyres?
I think that's probably what Mercedes are thinking here.
But the Williams has just come out right in front of Max Verstappen, and that might be an unsafe release for Nicholas Latifi.
It's happened 2019. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. Remember Robert Kubica when he got released into the path of Verstappen? It's now Nicholas Latifi this time.
20 seconds. The gap. If Hamilton was to pit now, they'd be side by side on the pit lane exit. So Verstappen now, we predict, will be going to the end of this race on a set of hard compound tyres.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. From hard, looks like the tyre they've gone for on Red Bull's watch.
Obviously, Johnny, that's miles off where we thought he would be pitting. And Mercedes are coming in as well. So Hamilton will be, that's for Valtteri Bottas though, actually. For Valtteri Bottas. So Bottas goes on to the hard tyres. It's a good stop from the Mercedes crew again, 2.4 seconds.
Good stop from that.
Fastest stop we've seen of the day. And I wonder if, Charlie, Mercedes have done this to potentially give Bottas a run on Verstappen and a hold Verstappen up a bit.
Maybe. This will be interesting.
But he's going to come out behind the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc.
So
Bottas is understandably questioning whether it's the right decision or not.
Yeah, because he's now behind the Ferrari, so that's now.
Now is Hamilton going to come in or stay out? And we're not going to see because we're going to a replay again of the Aston Martin. Lance Stroll getting past the Williams. And he does eventually get past George Russell, but that was very close to contact at the centre S. Perez is in now, Charlie. So I think Hamilton might be forced into a pit stop here.
Yeah, Red Bull have gone. Red Bull are trying different options here. Perez pits for the
Bottas
team.
has got past the clerk for good measure. Verstappen was half a second quicker on the last lap. I think Hamilton, Charlie, will be in within the next couple of laps.
I wouldn't be surprised if Hamilton pits soon to cover the off the threat of Verstappen.
I think he would have a 3-lap tyre advantage over Max Verstappen, and the Mercedes crew are coming out, Verstappen radio. Hamilton's in. Verstappen being told don't push too hard. Let's see what the stop is for Lewis Hamilton. It's a decent stop, Charlie. 2.6 seconds, slightly slower than we've seen before. Verstappen's heading on to the start-finish straight now, and he retakes the lead of the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. But, Charlie, his title rival, Lewis Hamilton, is on much fresher rubber.
Yeah, this is what we're going to be here for, guys. We're on for a showdown.
2.5 seconds with a back marker in between them. This race, Charlie Tolhurst, is well and truly on.
Yeah. Whoever's going to win today will probably be putting Queen on the way when they get into their paddock.
Hamilton not happy with his team. He wanted the mediums, Charlie.
Oh.
I think the mediums would go the full way.
Maybe that's what Pete Bonington was recommending to him. The mediums were not going to.
Bottas saying they threw away an easy 1-2. Sergio Perez is about to get past Charles Leclerc into the first corner, and that's a nice move from Sergio Perez. He sets the fastest lap of the race. 1.8 seconds, the gap out in front. Hamilton knows, Charlie, he's really got to get his foot down now.
Yeah, it's going to be close, I reckon.
But obviously, Charlie, as a driver, you have nowhere near as much information as your engineer does sitting on the pit wall. So, as much as Lewis was annoyed, I think he done the right thing to listen to the call.
To go on to the hards, which is probably, in theory, the tyre that will go to the end of the race.
100%. Unless, Charlie, Mercedes go for a free stop.
Maybe.
Hamilton radio again. Hamilton asking, is the undercut not powerful? Pete Bonington saying no, but they should get more traffic in about 10 laps or so. Hamilton does the fastest lap of this race. 1.2 seconds.
That's probably why they didn't take the decision to go for the hards, potentially.
Christian Horner saying Red Bull are the cat, Mercedes are the cat, Red Bull are the mouse, and they are here for the taking from Mercedes. But if he thinks that then, Charlie, why did they bring Verstappen in?
I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting. I know that he's had a bit of a row with Toto Wolff over Mercedes' wing, apparently, as well.
And just listening to Christian Horner.
Try and hang on now and see what we got.
And if you do hang on, it'll be a nice little early birthday present for you. Happy birthday for Tuesday.
And obviously it's Christian Horner's birthday on Tuesday as well. Charlie, so we wish him a very, very happy birthday for Tuesday in the midst of this F1 triple header. Hamilton's gaining on Verstappen. He's gaining on Verstappen. He is now within a second, half a second of Verstappen going into the Senna S. This is as close as it's got, Charlie. Onto the Rettifilio Deposta they go. Hamilton's going to get DRS. Is he going to be close enough into Estigo de Largo? He's going to think about a move up the inside, but he doesn't quite make it. And it was one of those, Charlie, where in the pit wall, both Mercedes and Red Bull, I think they might have had their hands over their heads over their eyes. But I think the Red Bull and Max Verstappen could be in a bit of bother on the start-finish straight. 0.6 of a second separates the top two who are dominating this Formula One World Championship. And could this be, Charlie, the turning point in the season, the pivotal point in the season? If Lewis Hamilton gets this race victory and he gets a good result in Qatar next week, it is well and truly game on going into Saudi and Abu Dhabi. But Hamilton is 0.8 now going into the final corner. He's not going to be close enough into the centre S despite the DRS. Despite the slipstream, he's 0.2 of a second. He thinks about it. The Verstappen covers him off, and he's going to be really close now. Through the Curva del Sol they go, and on to the Rettifilio de Posta. Hamilton's getting DRS, and he's right on these, going wheel to wheel. With it, is he to Max Verstappen into the Rettifilio de Posta? Hamilton goes to the outside, but he can't quite do it. Hamilton's gone off the track. They're both off the track in the Rettifilio de Posta. Verstappen pushed Hamilton wide. And that might be going to the stewards, but Verstappen stays ahead of Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, I don't know what they're going to say about that. Will Verstappen get penalised if he's forced another driver off the track?
Let's go have a look at it again, Charlie. Hamilton was alongside, he was ahead, and Verstappen, Charlie, does push him off the circuit.
Oh, that's a penalty coming, probably for Verstappen. Give drivers racing room. Do not push them off the circuit. That's not how you race.
Verstappen will say the car was sliding and he didn't touch. 1.1 seconds then. Hamilton's picked up some dirt on his tyres. They came oh so close, Charlie, to coming together once more.
Oh, God, imagine if that happened. That would throw the race right open.
And you will not be at all surprised, Charlie, to see that incident has been noted by race control.
Yeah. What will be deemed? What will be given? Will there be a penalty for Max Verstappen for forcing another driver off the track?
Right. Let's get this cleared up for our viewers. Being noted and being under investigation is something completely different. Noted means the stewards are aware of the incident and they will take a look at it. Hamilton Radio. Right, we're now being told, Charlie, that incident is now under investigation by the stewards for forcing another driver off the track.
Yeah, it's a common one, that one. You can get penalties for it.
I think, Charlie, Verstappen deliberately turned right through the corner. Verstappen Radio. I think, Charlie, Verstappen might well be getting a time penalty coming his way for that. So Mercedes telling us it's under investigation, but on the graphic it hasn't actually told us it is under investigation. But I guess Mercedes probably know more than we are. But Lance Stroll has unfortunately become the first retiree of the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. He's had too much damage to that Aston Martin following contact at the beginning of this race.
Yeah, Yuki Tsunoda and him came together, so yeah. Questions will be asked about that.
Bottas Radio. So Mercedes telling both their drivers there might be penalties coming for the Red Bull. But Hamilton is back within DRS. 9/10 though. He's not going to be able to do it, I don't think, into the Senna S. But he's going to be, Charlie, within half a second as on the exit of the Senna S and towards the Curva del Sol. Here we go then for round two of Hamilton versus Verstappen in Sao Paulo. Hamilton's got the slipstream. He's got DRS. He's closing on the Red Bull, but he isn't quite going to be close enough into Estigo de Largo. Meanwhile, whilst all this action is taking place on the track, Ricciardo has come into the pits to get rid of and put some fresh rubber on.
Yeah, McLaren have had a difficult day at the office today, unfortunately.
So what the stewards will look at this incident, Charlie, is did Verstappen gain a lasting advantage by forcing another driver off the track? To me, Ricciardo's out, Charlie. Daniel Ricciardo's retired from the Sao Paulo Grand Prix.
Oh, big
What's
shame.
happened there?
Big shame.
We've lost 2 drivers in 2 laps.
Ricciardo must have had an issue on his McLaren, probably. It's probably why he's pulled into his garage.
Hamilton without DRS going towards the Senna S. But will he be within DRS? Yes, he has got DRS going down the Rettifilo de Posta, but he isn't going to be close enough. I wonder if Johnny's just got to back off a bit in the middle sector. Red Bull to FIA radio. So Jonathan Wheatley, Charlie, pleading his case and saying that's pure racing. And Michael Massey just saying, yeah, we're just taking a look at it.
It's Silverstone all over again, this now. The FIA radio's coming back with both teams lobbying their case. Wow.
It is, Charlie. Right, Hamilton has got DRS this time towards the Senna S, but it's not going to be close enough. He does, Charlie, really want to get that moved on into Estigo de Largo. But it's 4 attempts, Charlie, going through the Senna S and onto the Curva del Sol they go. Round 3 then of Hamilton versus Verstappen. Hamilton might well be close enough for a move this time. Race control saying no investigation necessary. On that incident between Hamilton and Verstappen, Hamilton isn't close enough going into Estigo de Largo. He thought about a move up the inside, but he couldn't quite get it done. Meanwhile, the 2 Ferraris have swapped positions as well.
So Verstappen and Hamilton are free to race till the end of the race now, unless any more things happen.
All right, they swap positions because Charles Leclerc's coming to the pits. That's why. 6 tenths then. The gap out in front. But crucially, Charlie, Verstappen's going to get DRS from the back markers here, going down the start-finish straight.
It's going to be interesting, this.
Is he? No, he isn't. He isn't because Raikkonen's coming to the pits. But Hamilton is going to get DRS. Going towards the Senna S. Hamilton's just that little bit too far back. But once again, towards the Curva del Sol they go. Round 4 this time. It's every lap. It's lap after lap. In this intense Brazilian Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Hamilton's got DRS again. He's gaining. But again, he's just that little bit too far back into Estigo de Largo.
Verstappen does not want to let him through. I know that from his cockpit, surely. Tensions are boiling up in Red Bull now.
But Verstappen, Charlie, is crucially getting a bit dirty from the back marker, which now pulls apart to let him through. Hamilton radio. Pete Bonington telling Lewis Hamilton no investigation necessary. Lewis Hamilton sarcastically saying, of course, man, of course. That might be. He rather feels, Charlie, that Verstappen did push him off the track. Hamilton's now without DRS. Is he just going to recharge his battery then for another attack? But he is going to get DRS down the Rettifilo de Posta. You know, you cannot write this script, Charlie, for this Sao Paulo Grand Prix. You really cannot. No, he isn't going. He is going to get DRS down the Rettifilo de Posta, but only just is he within that DRS zone. If he wants to make that move, Charlie, he's got to get really close into the Senna S.
Yeah. He's got Max Verstappen, who is one of the hardest overtakers in F1.
FIA radio, Charlie. Mercedes pleading their case again. And
Mercedes want Verstappen penalised.
I mean, no, we haven't seen the onboard from Max Verstappen yet either. So, obviously the FIA get more than we do. So, I guess, Charlie, the decision that they've made is fair and correct.
Maybe. I mean, I know Mercedes clearly want Verstappen penalised. I know that for sure.
Well, of course, they want Verstappen penalised for everything, don't they? A €50,000 fine got given his way. We're going to have a look at it again then, that move. Max did drive him off the circuit, to be fair, Charlie.
I'd have to see pictures of it.
If Hamilton hadn't have gone off the track, then there would have been contact, for sure.
Yeah, if you have contact, it
was centimetres away from contact. Centimetres. See, from my point of view, Charlie, Hamilton gave Verstappen room, and both of them are going to get DRS now because of the back markers. Hamilton gave Verstappen room, and Verstappen didn't take it. It's similar to the Silverstone incident. Verstappen missed the apex. In theory, Charlie, if Lewis gets a penalty for the Silverstone incident, then surely Max should be getting a penalty for
probably
as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, we've still got a little while of this race left, so there could still be any misdemeanors.
15 laps, 14 laps to go in this Sao Paulo Grand Prix, and it could be a 14 laps that swings the championship either to game over or game on for Lewis Hamilton. If Verstappen wins this race, you would rather get the feeling that he's out of Hamilton would be out of the championship equation unless Verstappen has a mechanical failure or crashes out, which is always possible. Right, 9 tenths then. Hamilton is going to get DRS down the start-finish straight this time. He's backed off, Charlie. He's charged the battery. It's now time to get going once more then. Half a second then. 3 tenths of a second. Hamilton thinks about it at the centre S, but decides better of it. He's going to be really close now. Through the Curva del Sol, they head one more time. Onto the Rettifilio de Posta. Hold your breath, everyone. Verstappen's weaving. Hamilton's gaining into Estigo de Largo. Hamilton goes to the outside, but he can't quite do it. But he might get the inside. No, he doesn't. He thought about the old switcheroo, Charlie, but it didn't quite pay off.
That's a risky move against Max Verstappen, the switcheroo, because what happened to Kimi Räikkönen once he turned left right and cut him off in Belgium.
Yeah. And once again, Hamilton just backing off a bit in the middle sector. Half a second, Charlie.
It's close.
9
is it close enough?
Hamilton knows the tactic, doesn't he? Back off into the last corner, accelerate out of it, make sure you're within the DRS, get close into the centre S, but don't pass into it, and then try and move on the Rettifilio de Posta. But Hamilton might be thinking to move down the centre S this time. He thinks about it, but decides better of it. Again, he's going to be really close through the Curva del Sol. Verstappen goes wide at the centre S, and this has given Hamilton a major opportunity. Hamilton's going to get DRS. He's going to be wheel to wheel with Max Verstappen. He's passed Max Verstappen. Hamilton takes the lead of the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Estigo de Largo. He's gone from 10th to 1st, and the Brazilian crowd is bouncing with that one, Charlie.
Yeah, I think it all helped by Max Verstappen running wide as well.
Last to first, Charlie, across the sprint and the Grand Prix. If Hamilton can pull this off, it'll be one of his greatest ever drives in Formula One.
Yeah. Max Verstappen will not be happy after that move.
Let's have a look at it, Charlie. Hamilton got a great exit from the Curva del Sol. They went wheel to wheel down the Rettifilo de Posta, and that grandstand on the right, Charlie, was on their feet, and rightly so. Hamilton Radio. And the get in there, Lewis, has come a few laps early. The Sao Paulo Grand Prix, the Mercedes garage, Charlie, has gone absolutely mental, and Toto Wolff is at the centre of it all.
You can tell.
So as it stands,
he wants to win.
14 points. Well, no, 13 points would be the gap, Charlie. If Hamilton can win this race, it is well and truly game on in the World Championship.
Yeah.
Charlie, we said in the pre-race show, do not count him out.
I knew I even predicted Hamilton would win this race today, and I could be right.
And there's a black and white flag, Charlie, for Max Verstappen
Oh,
weaving on the start-finish straight.
Black and white flag. That means do not do this again. That's a warning.
And Pierre Gasly's going to go to the inside of the Alpine. Both Alpines, that came so close to contact at the centre S.
Oh.
And they both get through. And the Alpine didn't quite do it. He's going to try the outside at the Curva del Sol. Doesn't quite do it. He's now surely going to get the AlphaTauri into a Estigo de Largo. And he's going to go to the outside at Estigo de Largo. But the AlphaTauri is still there. And somehow Pierre Gasly holds on to that position.
Wow, great battle here between Pierre Gasly and I don't even know who that was going down. Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly fighting.
Charlie, it was 2.1 seconds, the gap out in front.
Yeah, Verstappen's angry. You can tell he is by weaving across the circuit.
Vote for drive of the day is now open. Bottas Radio. Valtteri being told go and get him. 9.1 seconds. Might be a bit too ambitious. Both for the drive of the day, closing 9 laps. Go to f1.com/vote. It wouldn't at all surprise me if Lewis Hamilton is a contender for that. And the AlphaTauri is now going to try the outside of Fernando Alonso at centre S. It can't quite do it, Pierre Gasly, but he's going to get another run on the Rettifilo de Posta. And towards the Estigo de Largo they go then. No DRS for the Alpine, DRS for the AlphaTauri. Fernando Alonso is down to 8, Pierre Gasly up to 7.
Yep, Gasly's got another one. Good, great. This would be a good result for AlphaTauri. They'll get a great haul of points.
Oh, he thought about the move into the horseshoe, Charlie. But turn 6, but decided better of it, did Esteban Ocon, who locks up and goes straight on at the at turn 6. And that has rather ruined his chances of getting back past Pierre Gasly. And he's now going to have to move over to let Lewis Hamilton through as well.
Yeah, that's given Ocon a bit of a headache there.
Just going back to that move from Gasly on Ocon.
Let's have a look.
The other move here down in towards turn 4. But I wondered if he just didn't turn the car, like we were talking about with Max and the move on Lewis.
And Lewis is now going to get past Esteban Ocon using a dose of DRS as well.
So that's what they're looking for. There's little nuances from on board. That's what we were missing. And the stewards would have been missing it as well.
And he's going to now got the AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly in front of him. Then he'll be in some nice clean area. He can start getting that Mercedes cooled down a bit more.
Switch on all the time. If you're watching in the UK, you're a Sky Glass or a Sky Q customer, press your red button. You can watch the highlights alongside the live action. I hope you've all been enjoying the live action so far.
63 laps to 71 gone then. Lewis Hamilton leads from 10th on the grid. And 13 points. The gap out in front.
Forward now to Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Abu Dhabi, the last 3 Grand Prix. I think that nice bit of the Mercedes will come in extremely handy in to the final stage.
3.1 seconds then. Hamilton extending his lead out in front. And he's now got past the AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly as well. And Bottas is closing on Verstappen as well. I mean, it's only by about 10 for 2 of that. Let's have a look at that move again. Verstappen, lady. And Verstappen saying, yeah, perfect, say hi. This is why Ricardo retired. So Ricardo had a power unit failure. Schumacher's in the pits. Is that a scheduled stop or is he out of the Sao Paulo Grand Prix as well? But Hamilton can now turn that engine down a bit and can sit back. Well, not sit back, but you know what I mean. Enjoy the race a bit more now because he hasn't got Verstappen pounding him as much. And someone's locked up in the background, and I think that might have been an Alpine of Fernando Alonso. Remember, you can vote driver of the day, f1.com/vote. That vote closes at the end of this race. 4.5 seconds. The gap is out in front. And Valtteri Bottas is now closing in on Max Verstappen as well. And a lot of people tweeting me, the best ever. Charlie, you will not be at all surprised to hear that Lewis Hamilton has 33% of the vote for driver of the day.
I think he'll win it after what he's done today. I'd say that's one of the greatest drives
Charlie,
I think he's
ever done. You say he will win it. The reason Daniel Ricciardo retired was for a loss of power. And obviously, he has a Mercedes power unit. Oh. That could be a bit of concern for Mercedes. So I'm hearing that they turned Lewis Hamilton's engine down as a precaution now.
Yeah.
But he's still eking out a second lap over Verstappen near enough.
Yeah, so he should win it. I hope Hamilton wins today. I think he deserves winning this race.
Valtteri Bottas is closing. Hamilton's last 5 results: DNF, a first, a fifth, a second, and a second. He might make that a first in Sao Paulo. Obviously, that first was round 15, which was in Sochi. Obviously, we're not allowed to show that flag to you because of other political reasons, which means Russia, it can't be called the Russian Grand Prix in the future, Charlie, because they've been banned from sporting events for 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, I don't know what the race will be called in St. Petersburg. I'd have to have a think about that.
Going on board with Lewis Hamilton, he just gets a bit of oversteer, heading through turn 9. I don't think that would have cost him too much time or nothing to raise his heartbeat anyway. He was on the dirty part of the racetrack, so that might explain why. 67 of 71 here then in Sao Paulo as we head to 3:30 local time, 6:30 GMT on Greenwich Mean Time here in the UK. And I'm sure, Charlie, many of the UK F1 fans would have loved this in the final race in South America of the season.
Yeah. I think it'll be a great achievement.
3 to go after this, Charlie. We expect Mercedes will brace Leceo. If Mercedes win in Leceo, Charlie, and Hamilton and Verstappen comes home second, then the gap would be 7 points going into the last two races. We cannot. The last time, Charlie, it was this close going into the finale was where Senna and Prost and Toto Wolff made a bold statement saying if it goes down to the wire, whoever's in the championship lead will do a Ayrton Senna move.
I think so.
In Japan 89.
Yeah.
7 seconds, the gap out in front. Meanwhile, Charlie, Valtteri Bottas is racking in the Red Bull as well.
Yeah, Bottas seems to be up in his pace now. Will he catch him? That's the question.
That is the main question. And Hamilton will take maximum points from Sunday. And if he hadn't have got disqualified from qualifying, Charlie, he might have had a Grand Slam as well.
Yeah, he probably would have run away with it today, I reckon, if he wasn't in qualifying.
Red Bull had the pace in Mexico. They've got a lack of pace in Sao Paulo. They've been slower and on the back foot all weekend long, despite Hamilton getting disqualified from qualifying. I think, Charlie, on Saturday afternoon when it was announced Hamilton was disqualified, if you'd have said they'd have won the Sao Paulo Grand Prix or be leading it at lap 69 Hamilton radio. And I think, Charlie, is on Saturday afternoon when we found out the news that Lewis would be starting the back in the sprint. I think if you'd have said it'd be leading the Sao Paulo Grand Prix on lap 69, I think we'd have all said you're having a laugh, aren't you? But no, that person would have been proved to be correct, actually, because he is leading the Sao Paulo Grand Prix by 8.5 seconds, Charlie. He's got quite a comfortable lead now. 5.9, though, is the gap between Valtteri and Max. This is heating up quite nicely, Charlie, for Valtteri and Max to go right to the wire in this race.
Yeah, I don't know, though, whether Bottas is going to get it done because there's only a few laps left now.
There's only 2 laps left, so I don't think it will be enough unless Verstappen makes a costly error. Hamilton heads on to the penultimate lap of the first Sao Paulo Grand Prix, but not the first race here at Interlagos. We really missed it last year, and it's been so good to have it back on the calendar this year. Sergio Perez is in, so I guess he's going to try and steal the fastest lap away from Lewis Hamilton, which would make it 14 points. The gap in front. It's a good stop from the Red Bull mechanics. Obviously, Perez has a free pit stop. He has nothing to lose in the race, with Leclerc being 31 seconds behind then. The checkered flag at the ready, and it'll be a waved by Rebecca Andrade, a Brazilian Olympus. Hard to pronounce that name, sorry if we did pronounce that wrong. So Hamilton coming towards turn 13, the final proper corner on this racetrack to head on to the final lap of the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. He's got the special Senna tribute helmet this weekend. 9.3 seconds, 4.8 seconds. I don't think Valtteri Bottas is going to be close enough to Max Verstappen, but another 2 laps, Verstappen could find himself coming home in first. So he's got to deem himself a lucky boy today as Max Verstappen, but they just were not quick enough, Charlie, to catch Mercedes.
No, Hamilton's pace today was raucous in that new engine in the car.
The Mercedes flares, they love Lewis Hamilton in Brazil, and I'm pretty sure, Charlie, they're going to love this race victory then. Hamilton then into turn 10 for one final time. We know he's run well here, but when he started 20th in the sprint race, I think a win on Sunday would have been out of his grasp. But this is Lewis Hamilton through turn 13. This is a 7-time world champion. The championship fight is well and truly on now. Going into the final 3 races, Lewis Hamilton wins the Sao Paulo Grand Prix from 10th on the grid, and that might just be, Charlie, one of his greatest drives in his Formula One career. Max Verstappen will come home second, and Valtteri Bottas, with 3 seconds behind, will come home in third. Sergio Perez will come home in fourth. The party has started at Mercedes, but Charlie, we go again in Qatar next week. Will Perez get the fastest lap away from Lewis Hamilton? We will wait and see. But he's gone purple in the first 2 sectors. Still, Charlie, 14 points will be the gap going into the Sao next week. We said he has got the fastest lap. We said don't write Lewis Hamilton off. Do not write Lewis Hamilton off this World Championship.
I think will Hamilton claw it back? That's the question. Today, I was proved right. I thought he was going to win, and he did it.
Wow, Charlie, what a Sao Paulo Grand Prix.
That's got to be one of the greatest drives from Lewis Hamilton since Hockenheim 2018.
Oh,
remember that race when he started 14th on the grid and
Team
won?
radio, Charlie. And he picks up the Brazil flag, Charlie, in a lovely tribute to the late, great Ayrton Senna. Formula One has just tweeted, Lewis Hamilton from 10th to 1st. Lewis Hamilton wins. What a race from Lewis Hamilton. From the incredible Lewis Hamilton, what a race. He brings down the gap to just 14 points. And Mercedes has said Lewis Hamilton wins in Brazil. And that, Charlie, says it all.
Yeah. I just want to say, guys, look, looking at this, I mean, this was 30 years ago. This picture here that I found online of Ayrton Senna winning in his home country. And I have to say, Lewis Hamilton's just replicated that today. I mean, that image shows you just what it will mean to Lewis today.
I know. Verstappen seems relatively happy, Charlie, with the P2. Saying still good points, Charlie. But in the Sao next week, in that long straight, expect Mercedes to be like a rocket going down. But, Charlie, with that long straight, would starting third be better than starting first?
I don't know. I mean, I raced on Mexico the other day in F1 2021, and must admit, I got swamped at the start.
The King of Brazil climbs on top of his cars and jumps into his team arms. Thankfully, the rainings don't give way this time, like they did last year, 2 years ago. Lewis Hamilton is your winner of the Sao Paulo Grand Prix in 2021, and his F1 championship rolls on to the Sao in a couple of weeks' time. He doesn't want to give up. Does he, Charlie, on the 8th just yet this season? As we've already said, do not count Lewis Hamilton out ever.
4 races to go now.
3 races to go, Charlie, if you've done...
3 races. Do apologise. 3 races to go. Qatar, Jeddah, and Abu Dhabi on the newly revised circuit.
And Lewis Hamilton climbs the pit wall to possibly the greatest cheer he might ever hear from that grandstand, and the people that are finally being allowed onto the grid now. And very soon we will hear from the top 3 in Parc Ferme. No touching the cars this time from Max Verstappen. He doesn't want to pay another €50,000 fine. He certainly doesn't want to give the FIA another nice meal and glass of red wine, does he, Charlie?
Yeah, I know Max Verstappen certainly doesn't want to do that again after his fine he got from the stewards the other day.
a 25 place grid penalty technically. Lewis Hamilton still wins. Just shows how good he was, how good he is at what he does. And I think that rear wing would be protested, Charlie, by Red Bull on that Mercedes car. But obviously, Mercedes have seized the rear wing, so they will be the FIA seized the rear wing, so they'll be investigating that. I don't think they found anything wrong with it. We're going to hear from Max Verstappen with Felipe Massa now.
Maybe was missing a little bit in terms of the pace. So, what to tell all of us here?
Yeah, I mean, we tried everything we could today. Of course, I think it was a good battle, but of course, at the end we just missed a little bit of pace. But we gave it all today, and it was a lot of fun.
Congratulations! I think it was really nice race to watch, and especially this battle. So, what do you think for the next race? Ready to fight it to the end, like you show here?
Yeah, I mean, we still have a good points lead, so today was a bit of damage limitation on a weekend where it was a bit difficult for us, but I'm confident that the coming races, will bounce back.
Congratulations.
Listen to it.
Hi, Valtteri. Start yesterday was fantastic. Maybe a little bit different today, especially in the first corner by being a little bit, on the outside. And also, when I saw you breaking for corner 4, maybe the grip was not 100% there from the track, I would say. So can you explain your race for us today?
Yeah, the start was quite tricky. I'm disappointed with the start, but in the first lap, but I tried. But afterwards, the pace was actually quite okay. I thought we could have done one stop quite easily, but we decided to do two stop. But I'm glad we could get more points for Red Bull, and Lewis had an amazing drive today. I think he was on his own legs today.
And do you think maybe the virtual safety car was a little help also to pass Checo as well?
Yeah, the VSC was in a good place for me for once, so I was happy with that. And still solid bunch.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Lewis, it's very difficult to do the question for you. You are not. Can you hear? You are not the driver of the day. You are the driver of the weekend. So yesterday, what you did was just incredible. And I don't know, but I saw your face after the race yesterday. And today, what you give, fighting and overtaking, and also for the people. Really, for me, you were the driver of the weekend. And did you feel anything different with the Brazilian people supporting you 100% from yesterday? So can you please tell us what you think?
I appreciate that, dude. And firstly, now I know. I think I feel what it was like for you here with all the support in 2007 with your amazing country. I'm so grateful for the incredible support I've had this weekend. I've not had it since Silverstone was when I had my own a good group of support. But since then, it's been really difficult, So to hear these throughout the weekend has been really humbling. And I've been saying obrigado, Brazil. I'm so grateful, as I said. What a race. The team did an amazing job. Valtteri did a great job today to get as many points as possible. So, I was pushing. You know how it is. Just pushing as hard as I could. But from last on the grid and then another 5-place penalty was, I think, the hardest weekend I've had. But my dad said he reminded me of 2004 when I was in Formula 3 in Bahrain, and I started last, and I finished 10th, and then I finished first. So this one's for my dad.
Well, also, can you just tell about the overtaking, and also what do you think for the next race? Do you think this was an extra help for you to fight for the championship and nothing to lose?
Coming into this weekend, I never ever thought that we would be able to close the gap like we have today. And then these things that just kept going against us. But I think it really shows and for everyone, just never give up, whatever you're facing. You just got to keep pushing, keep tumbling away, keep fighting, and never stop fighting. And that's really how I kind of approach this weekend. inspiration from all around. But it feels like a first because don't feel like I had to win for a long time. So
really, from my side, congratulations. Really amazing job.
Charlie, if you cannot hear what the Brazilian fans are singing on the grid, they're singing Leia, 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 Sempre, Sempre, basically Senna Sempre. Charlie, we know they love Lewis Hamilton, and I don't think anyone knows what it means to Lewis to win in front of that crowd.
Nah, I'm sure today, celebrating Ayrton Senna's 30 years since Senna's win, I think today has proved it. Lewis Hamilton celebrates it with as you said, Jack, a great, fantastic victory.
So the race result then, Lewis Hamilton takes the win with Max Verstappen in second, Valtteri Bottas third, Sergio Perez came home fourth with the fastest lap. Both Ferraris fifth and sixth, Pierre Gasly seventh, Alpine's 8th and 9th. Lando Norris rounded out the top 10 again, 1 point for McLaren.
Disaster for McLaren.
Sebastian Vettel, Kimi Raikkonen came home in 12th, George Russell came home in 13th, Giovinazzi in 14th, Tsunoda in 15th, Latifi in 16th, Nikita Mazepin in 17th, Mick Schumacher 18th, and Daniel Ricciardo and Lance Stroll both DNF'd from the race. And the 34 race finishing streak for Daniel Ricciardo is over, unfortunately. And now no one this season has finished every single race. And I'm pretty sure, Charlie, this is going to be a very energetic podium.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an energetic podium, I'm sure.
And Toto Wolff, who told them to beat them all on Saturday, is now very, very happy. But, Charlie, they get back to work after the podium and we go again next week. That's Lewis Hamilton's 101st race victory in Formula One. We go to Losail next week for the first ever Qatar Grand Prix. And also for the Italian race fans, it was an emotional day today as Valentino Rossi said bye-bye to motorsport for now, as Valtteri Bottas comes out onto the podium. And then he'll be joined by Max Verstappen on the second step. And the Mercedes representative will also be on the podium as well. And then your race winner, your Sao Paulo Grand Prix winner, when he arrives from 10th on the grid with the Brazilian flag to the greatest cheer that you could possibly ever hear, is Lewis Hamilton. And in his honour, we will hear the British and the German national anthems.
incredible stats. It really is.
Simon says hi in the comments. Hello, Simon. How you doing away? Well, so Lewis Hamilton then will lift the first place trophy, which will be presented by the governor of Sao Paulo, and it's a fairly nice trophy to go with it as well. The first ever carbon neutral Formula One Grand Prix, and it'll be a carbon neutral trophy then as well. F1 hybrid, F1 carbon neutral, the first one of many carbon neutral Grand Prix. Every other race from now on in Formula One will be as carbon neutral as it possibly can be. And the Mercedes representative is presented with the Constructors' Trophy. And Valtteri Bottas will also now get his second place. Max Verstappen, sorry, will also get his second place trophy. He was just not quick enough today to keep the Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton behind him. He was lucky though, because Valtteri Bottas was well and truly closing him down towards the end of the race, and his trophy will be presented by the ASN president. The Brazil flag given to the Mercedes mechanic. Valtteri Bottas raises his trophy in the air. The champagne is now sprayed. We head to Qatar in a week's time. The F1 show will be on Thursday at 8 p.m. with Charlie and I. We'll see you in a week's time at 1:35 though, when Formula One returns in the sail.